Hi, it's Bobby from Fifth Avenue Cake Designs, and I thought with wedding season coming up, we're on Memorial Weekend, so we're almost approaching that summer wedding season, it would be fun to show some royal icing flowers on some cupcakes. Right now, roses are always in fashion, so these are some royal icing roses that are piped onto a domed cupcake with a scalloped fondant top. And what's really trending right now is ranunculuses. They are gaining in popularity, and I thought it might be fun to show how to create some ranunculuses. So let's begin. Alright, so we're going to do the roses first. And for the roses, I have already started rolling a vine green colored piece of scrap gum paste. We all have leftover gum paste. This is a great way to use it up. And we're going to turn our little ball into a bud. And I'm more comfortable doing it on my work mat, so I'm just going to roll the very tippy top of my ball and turn it into a bud. And then with a regular toothpick that you have in your home, you're going to place it on the toothpick. Now this needs to dry for a good 24 hours before you pipe on it, because we're going to be making such a large rose and the weight would just come falling off. So I'm going to put this to the side. I have one already made. It's nice and hard and dry. And we're going to begin to pipe. I'm using a 58 PME nozzle. And this one is an R, so it has a little bit of a curve. If you didn't care about the curve, you could use a 104 in Wilton or a 103. And we're going to do 3 petals. So we're going to start, make our connection, and go around. So we're going to make the first part of our bud with pressure and your tip being parallel to your gum paste. Release pressure and slide down the tip. At this point, take a look and see if you need to just clean up a little bit. This went on pretty smooth, but if you had a little bit of a tail or there was something showing, you're going to want to clean that up, and you're going to want to do that at every stage. And because we are working with stiff consistency icing, not off peak but stiff, you're going to use cornstarch instead of water to do any of touching up for your raggedness. And I would let this dry for maybe, depending on where you are and what the weather is like, anywhere from a half an hour to 4 hours. So if you're in a very humid place or it's raining, give it 4 hours. Of course, I have one already done. And remember, whatever color you make your royal icing, I colored mine with a little bit of vine green because I didn't want it to be stark white. It's going to dry a shade darker. So keep that in mind when you're coloring your icing. Now I'm going with a little bit lighter of an icing because, as we know, the bud of a rose is darker than the rest. And now we're going to put on our 3 petals. I'm going to start at my seam, and I'm going to make my tip parallel, come up, pressure, 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 over, and come down, and release onto my gum paste, keeping your tip clean at all times. And then I'm going to do the next one right where it connected. So I'm going to come up, pressure, 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 release pressure, and swipe down gently onto my gum paste. And I'll do my 3rd one. Exact same thing. You're going to come up and then come down. And release your pressure as you come down onto your gum paste. Now, you can see it's kind of raggedy. We just want to tuck that in and clean it up a little bit, so that when you go to do your 5 petals, and we're going to be working in odd numbers, so this is 3, and then we're going to go to 5, and then 7, and if you're real adventuresome or you are awesome at royal icing piping, 9, which I have one that I will attempt to take to 9. So that's 3. Again, you want to let this dry. For this one, I would let it dry for at least 4 hours, if not overnight. Again, depending on where you live. I live in Colorado. Normally it's very dry here. However, we've hit some sort of monsoon season. So I definitely would let it dry till maybe 6 hours this evening, probably. So I have one all done that has my 3 petals already on there. So you can see my bud and my 3 petals. I'm going to come back in with the exact same piping nozzle. I'm going to work my way down onto my gum paste. So I'm going to start a tad lower. I'm going to tilt and turn my cocktail stick counterclockwise as I pressure and make my first petal. 1. And I'm going to count these out so I don't lose count. And we're going to do the exact same thing, holding our tip the exact same way and turning as we go. 2, 3, 4, and 5. And make sure that you start on your gum paste and come down on your gum paste. The weight, and we're going to tidy up right now. So as you can see, we have some raggedy edges, and we want that to look nice and neat for the next set of piping. I'm just going to lift up. If any of your petals seem to be drooping, or you don't, if you have a little bit of a hole, you can fix that at this time. But because of the weight of the royal icing, you want to keep that royal icing on the gum paste as much as you possibly can, or you'll find that your beautiful rose slides down your gum paste ball. So there's 5. And I would definitely let that dry now overnight. So here's one with 5 that's ready and tidy and to go, and we're going to put 7 on. And I'm going to come down further onto my ball. So we're going to go 1. And now I'm tilting my toothpick, and I have my piping tip more at a 45-degree angle so that I can get a nice open petal here. I'm going to come in, and you want to start on one of the creases from the preceding petals, if I didn't tell you that already. Coming down onto my gum paste, that's 2. And that's 3. 4. 5. 6. And I'm piping in the exact same way. The only thing that has changed is the angle of my tip and the angle that I'm holding my toothpick or my nozzle. So a 45-degree angle. And then we're going to clean up down here. I'm going to grab a little bit more cornstarch. You don't have to worry about ruining your petals. If you have the right consistency, which would be stiff consistency, and I do have a video on royal icing consistencies if you need a reminder of that. And you always want to use fresh royal icing when you're piping roses like this. If you made your royal icing yesterday, I don't want you to throw away and make new royal icing. I want you to take it out, put it back in the mixer, add maybe a tablespoon of sifted powdered sugar, and bring it to a stiff consistency. If it's still not as stiff, I'm getting tongue-tied, still not as stiff as you need, you can add a tablespoon of powdered sugar at a time. So now we have our 7. If you're going to go to 9, and I know this sounds like you're waiting a lot of days, I would at this point wait I would wait overnight, but if you're in a hurry, you probably could wait about 6 hours. You're going to let that dry. Now I have one here with 7, so I'm going to attempt to go to 9. When I say attempt, I'm just not sure because my little bud is kind of small on there. So here we go. And now I'm going to turn I always say that my toothpick is almost resting right here in my arm. If not, or I'd be poking myself, but you want it turned that much. You're going to make your connection, come up, your angle of your nozzle is again at a 45. You want to give that petal a nice arch and make it look almost like it's falling open. Because by now, your rose would be very, very open. So we have 3 on here right now. And you want to keep your tip as clean as possible. and 9. Sorry that I got quiet there. I just wanted to make sure that I got those petals in. And we do need to clean up underneath. When you go to put your calyx on, you're going to want that to be nice and clean. And again, I would let this dry before you take it off your toothpick. This one definitely, I would let it dry overnight. If you don't, it will be almost impossible to get it off of your toothpick. Now, you could, if you wanted to, put them into your cupcake. If you want it to sit a certain way on the toothpick, it is food safe. You don't have to worry about it like you would a wire. And the other thing you want to do at this point, you want those petals to just have some character to them. So I'm just opening them up just a little bit so they have that character going on. So let me get a cupcake and I will show you how to put them on your cupcakes. So now we're going to put the calyx onto our rose. I forgot what we're putting the calyx on. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to make a hole in my cupcake. Now since I'm going to be putting 3 on, I'm going to make my hole here. So I have 1 in the front and then 2 in the back. For the purpose of this video, I'm just going to put this 1 in. So I'm going to poke my toothpick, my empty toothpick, in carefully and hand this to my assistant and then pull it out. And I'm going to get a pair of pliers out so that, in case I need them. So to add your calyx, you're going to use a PME large leaf tip. And if you want to know which way to pipe them, especially the littler ones, you want the little smiley face to be facing you. There are 2 ways you could do this. You could pipe the calyx on here and sit the rose down, or you could pipe it directly on here and carefully release it. And that's what I'm going to do because I want my calyx to have a little bit of movement because it's an awful large rose. So I'm going to make my calyx. I'm going to bring it up with pressure, 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 release that pressure, pull back, and I want that to curl because calyxes, when your roses are that big, sometimes you can't even see them. Most of the time you can't see them. So I'm just putting 5 on. And then instead of making a rose hip, I'm going to put a little bit of ball, a little icing ball with this tip, which won't really look like a ball because it's a leaf tip, but it will attach my rose and give the illusion that I have. A ball. And so that I don't hurt my calyx and you can see it, normally I would let this dry, but I wanted you to see it. And there you go. And because your rose is nice and dry, you can set it down and not have to worry. And there you are, a cute little rose. You go back in, make sure your calyx is coming all the way down to the bottom. And now you have a beautiful bridal shower cupcake. Okay, so here are the 2 bridal shower cupcakes, the ranunculus and the rose. They totally correspond in color. The pink matches the pink of the ranunculus and the green matches the lighter vine green of the rose. You could definitely serve these together on a beautiful cupcake platter for a wonderful shower, and people would be amazed at either flower or both if you're going to do both. So I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial, and I will see you at the next one.